If you're watching this video, you're already deep into Kyle Edward Ball's Skinamarink, but chances are you pretty much lost it at the end, and that's why I'm here to explain it all. Let's rip open this indie horror masterpiece. But first, what the hell is even happening in that movie? That's the question most viewers, even seasoned ones, ask when the credits roll because this isn't your typical jump scare fiasco. Skinamarink is a well-thought abstract horror movie that's there to elevate our deepest nightmares from when we were kids. Isn't it every child and parent's worst thought to get left alone in a house that obviously has an ominous presence? Well, Kyle Edward's debut film does just that, but it's going to take you a few attempts to get the story across.
Hello, Torino. You are about to see my first feature-length film, Skinamarink.
We have two young siblings, 6-year-old Kaylee and 4-year-old Kevin, who are mysteriously alone in their house with no adult in sight. The movie follows an unconventional found footage sort of theme that's literally very dark. I mean, you'll have to squeeze your eyes at some point. From the first go, you'll notice something isn't right, and the kids are being manipulated by an unknown entity lurking in their house. At first, it's left to the viewer's imagination to comprehend that something's whispering to the kids from the dark, but you'd be surprised how things escalate from there.
Can we sleep downstairs tonight?
It all begins with the little one. Kaylee and Kevin wake up one night to find their house in a strange order. Their parents are nowhere to be found, and almost all exits in the house have disappeared. It's almost like a dark prison where things are playing tricks on both the kids and the viewers. The first part of the movie is about the build-up, where the kids try to console each other by playing games or watching cartoons.
Help me move the couch, okay?
But then, as things start moving on their own, especially the toys which creepily stick to the ceiling, it all starts to fall apart. And the first one to go is Kaylee. A voice is telling the kids throughout the montages to do things. At first, it just talks to them, and then it starts to give them sinister orders. The evil presence asks Kaylee to stab herself in the eye with a knife. Of course, we don't see that horror, but we do hear her cries afterward, indicating the inevitable. It's presumed that she wasn't obedient to the voice, and that's why they took her mouth away. After Kaylee's demise, Kevin is left all alone with the chilling silence, which will obviously lead to a cryptic yet shuddering ending. But what was all that suspense for? And that's exactly the beauty of the movie. You're waiting and waiting for that shadow lurking on the sidelines to creep out and jump at the kids, but it never does, at least physically. It's a slow burn where the audience is waiting for a spine-bent, pastel-skinned lady or a shadow with red eyes, but it never comes. There's uncertainty and anxiety as the movie moves towards its second act that we get to see this presence following its evil plans. It's slowly taking away the little comfort the siblings have as they try to get by watching reruns of the Cuphead show. So what's really haunting them and why? There's no clear answer or an origin story if you were expecting one. After Kaylee's disappearance or end, a figure is literally shown for a second, giving the audience an impression that whatever it is, it's finally come out for Kevin. So what happens to Kevin? He does what a 4-year-old does when he's alone. He looks to avoid what's scaring him. He tries to deal with the fact that he's alone and calls out to whoever can help him. Kevin's world has been turned upside down. Literally, all of his toys by the end of the third act are on the ceiling. At this point, you must be frustrated with the lack of horror if your definition of that is sacrificial ceremonies or toys moving on their own. Honestly, you won't find a solid plot or a typical horror story in Skinamarink. It's based on the gibberish children's song as much as it can be labeled as your general horror, because it's definitely not. You want to know what happens to Kevin? Well, he dies. Duh. What else did you expect? Of course, they didn't show the disturbing gore, but what else can Kevin's muffled screams and blood spattering on the floor mean? I mean, his sister's already dead, and their father's MIA. So yeah, the entity finally got the kids in the end, and that's just dark. Kevin's supposed death is a spine-chilling scene where the fear on the kid's face is incomprehensible. It's enough to make an adult pee their pants. But that doesn't explain it all, and the audience wants to know more, like, what exactly does the ending mean for the movie's narrative? Well, let's just get something clear. This isn't a grudge story. You won't be getting crosses going in reverse or little girls crawling backwards on the ceiling. The whole indie vibe is all about drawing your own conclusion. The story's pretty simple. Two young kids are trapped in a paradox of supernatural activities, and whatever's driving the sinister plot eventually gets them in the end. Audiences can associate the fear, loneliness, and hopelessness that the kids face with their own experiences. What drew Kyle Edward towards this experimental story is this common childhood fear that most of us had, waking up in a dark house, alone. It's an eerie flick, like a short horror video gone viral on TikTok, but fans have been more than eager to draw their own conclusions. You wouldn't believe that there's more than one convincing theory about Skinamarink, which totally makes sense if you rewatch the movie. For instance, could that crucial scene at the beginning explain the ending of the movie?
Yeah.
For those who missed it, the movie has a scene early on where Kevin's father is heard saying on the phone that his son fell from the stairs and hurt his head. He apparently doesn't need stitches, and we see that Kevin's absolutely fine in the next shot. This led fans to believe that maybe Kevin's fall was serious, and he was in a coma all this time. Everything that's been happening around the house, and the fact that everyone's far from his reach, could be a manifestation of his subconscious. The theory finds ground when a number appears on the screen in the final act: 572 days. This could mean the number of days which have passed with Kevin still in a coma, which could explain the cartoon and the toys, as these could be the only things that brought him comfort in real life. But that's not all. Another detail puts a dark twist to Skinamarink. Some fans think that it's possible that the kids were being abused by one of their parents, and the voices they hear around the house could be a mental reaction to those tragic moments. This theory seems kind of far off and disturbing. For that matter, most of us would simply like to go with the haunted option, and there's nothing wrong with that. Skinamarink isn't an absolute movie. You're welcome to name the demented presence in the house in any way you like. The story is symbolic in a true sense, from the choice of toys shown to how they help craft a child's worst nightmare. Could I say for sure that Kevin dies at the end? Not so much. I think that Kevin was in a coma, and his compromised state of mind allowed an evil entity to feed off of him. But that's just me. Well, I guess that answered a lot of questions about Skinamarink. See you in the next video.